Good evening, everyone. And this is Shrija, working as a community manager with DCKAP. And first of all, thank you, Manish, for accepting our invitation and honoring our stage. And thank you, everyone, for registering to today's speaker series. So let me use this opportunity to give you a quick intro about DCKAP, the organization and the community behind this speaker series. DCKAP is a digital commerce agency helping businesses and brands to create an e-commerce storefronts. So that said, during these challenging times, being in lockdown, I believe like it's very much important for everyone to upskill our learning and to facilitate learning for our employees as well as for the general community. So DCCAP started hosting the speaker series, a virtual event. So that happens every Friday. So we have been doing this for more than 1 year. So after this lockdown, we went public, and because we just thought of sharing the knowledge to the outside community as well. So through speaker series, we bring in distinguished thought leaders, technology masters, and change makers around the globe to address on a varied topics and which matters the community most. So having that said, today I'm very glad and proud to welcome Manish Nepal. He's an podcaster and freelancer content specialist. And Manish is he have like 8 years of experience in helping B2B brands improving their inbound marketing reach. And he's also a co-author of the Growth Hacking book, and he's an host of the ABM Conversation podcast. And it is a live munch for everyone in B2B marketing, I would say. And he's into a coffee conversation, a marketing live video series that airs on LinkedIn every Monday. So in this capacity as a content marketer, he helps businesses expand their organic marketing footprint and improve customer engagement and boost conversation. And we are very proud to have Manish. And today he is along with us to share his insights on organic content marketing strategy with $0 ad spends. So that is very interesting topic, I would say. So I hope like you guys will have a great growth marketing session today. And should you have any questions, please feel free to raise your questions in the Q&A section. You can see at the bottom of your Zoom window. Over to you, Manish. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Rija. So hello and welcome everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us today in this session. I'm not going to bore you with a repeat introduction of myself. I think Sriza did a wonderful job of doing that. So I'll kind of try to segue into the topic that we are going to address today. And this is a topic that me and my co-host Yag from the ABM Conversations podcast have also addressed in episode number 7 of the ABM Conversations podcast. And I would highly suggest people interested in marketing, or if you are from marketing domain background, to listen to not only that episode, but we talk about a lot of other topics that are of general interest of marketers. So I'm just going to borrow a lot of what we have discussed in that episode and other episodes to address the topic today. And let me start by saying that let me try to lay out who are going to benefit out of this topic today. My topic is going to help businesses who are just starting out, small businesses. Maybe you are an e-commerce retailer who started out within the last 2 or 3 months or 6 months, or if you are wondering, if you are new and you're wondering how to get your first paying customers organically without having an ad budget. Or third category, you can be a business who were doing well in your past, who had a lot of customers and lead converting through ads, but now you suddenly found yourself in economic downturn brought to us by this new crisis situation, and suddenly your marketing budget or advertising budget is cut. So now you have to shift your focus towards doing organic marketing. And to all people in this category, not to worry. I think organic content marketing is here to help us, and we just have to shift our perspective from ads to looking at content marketing also as a conversion ready platform or interaction point. And we just have to invest our time and energy in doing that. But before we start and before we dive deep into the today's topic, let me start by setting some first principles about marketing that I personally believe is very helpful for not only understanding this topic today, but in general to hone our marketing acumen. I think marketing is, creating organic marketing assets is very similar to creating your product or services in the world, right? By that I mean, you have to begin with the end in mind, just like how you have to identify your product market fit when you set out to develop a product. You also have to figure out your channel market fit when you are trying to market your content assets to the world, to the target audience, right? So you have to figure out where to find your customers, where do they hang out in the online world, and that makes your job a lot easier for you to connect with your customers. And the other point is, you also have to try and understand what are the pain points that your customers, the target audience that you're trying to reach out to, are facing right now, and how you fit into the picture, how you can solve their problems by being genuinely helpful, by bringing your product or service in the fray. Let me give you an example from the e-commerce industry, just to be clear on this point. Shopify didn't start as a platform for people to come and start building their own website, right? Shopify, if you know the story behind Shopify's origin, it actually started when the founders, the co-creators of Shopify, were trying to create their own online storefront for their snowboard equipment, right? But when they started doing that, they realized that it needs a lot of coding, it needs a lot of menial task, but there was no ready-made platform where they can just go and create an online storefront. And they decided, we'll build our own, and then they did. And then that actually ended up becoming a platform for thousands of other business to start creating their own storefront, online retail storefront, right? I think the same principle applies to marketing your brand to the target audience. I think that there was a broken experience that these founders, Toby Luque and his co-founder, saw, and then he created something that was of use to thousands of other peoples around the globe, right? So marketing borrows from the same principle. You have to identify where the experience is broken in your existing niche, and then you have to try and solve it in as genuine way as possible. And that's how you become disruptive in your organic content marketing, is what my experience tells me. Now, if you understand these first principles of marketing, everything gets easier from that point on. But let me also try to address the other side of the story, because the topic talks about how you can use organic content marketing in place of ads, or when you don't have ad budget. There is a very special place for advertising in the marketing industry to leverage, right? You should definitely use ads when you have a lot of money lying around. You should definitely use ads when you want to be very specific in your targeting. That's why retargeting ads are such a hit in the online world, in the business world, especially in the e-commerce world. And you should definitely use ads when you want to get quick results. These are the main highlights of using ads and main use cases where you should be using ads. By definition, content marketing lives to serve the exact opposite things. Number one thing, it's free. You don't need a budget to do organic content marketing. All you need is time, energy, and a plan to reach out to your customer. Number two is the targeting is not in your control. Because content marketing, organic content is mostly inbound, it's most of the times open to the public, so you can't control who can see it. The only way you can fine-tune the targeting is by applying some level of search engine optimization strategies, which can replace the targeting by allowing you to tap into the search intent of your target audience, right? And number three is content marketing takes its own sweet time. It doesn't give you the results tomorrow. It's not like ads. It actually takes a long time, and then sometimes the attribution of what content marketing can do for you, what organic marketing can do for you, is not even attributable, right? It's tough to attribute. But having said that, I think these are features of organic content marketing. These are not necessarily bugs, and let me tell you why. Um, Not being able to target specifically to your audience can sometimes be a blessing in disguise, because when you can't specifically target your audience, it actually helps you with other things that your marketing is trying to do. For example, I personally believe that content marketing is one such marketing strategy that not only helps you with the awareness level of marketing, but it checks all the boxes in the marketing funnel, right? It helps you build awareness for your brand. It helps you engage with your audience. It helps you convert your audience, and it helps you retain them, right? So I think it checks all the boxes, which is why not being able to target specifically actually is a good thing, because it gives you a wide window of exposure to branding and other things that is in your marketing goals, right? And it is also long lasting. For example, ads are ephemeral, right? You set up an ad, you publish it, and then it stays for only a certain period of time, and then you have to take it off. It dies a sudden death. But content marketing, on the opposite hand, it's actually a long lasting or evergreen strategy, because once you publish it, and as long as it lives somewhere, it keeps giving you, it's a gift that keeps giving you for as long as possible, right? So the time window to converting people from your organic content is actually longer in comparison with ads. And so these are all the good reasons for you to start considering and start investing in organic content marketing in combination with ads. I'm not saying you should completely dismiss ads as a powerful medium to start marketing your brand, but given the times that we are in, you might not have enough budget for running your ads, or you might have other reasons not to do it. So organic content marketing is actually a very kick-ass option for you to start doing it. And best of all, organic content marketing has other features that ads can never replace. For example, ads are extremely transactional, right? It's like, hey, click on this button and buy this product, right? Content marketing is actually something that needs a lot of research, a lot of homework on trying to understand who your ideal buyer persona is, what are their pain points, what keeps them up at night, or what excites them, right? So by virtue of doing this homework, what you do is you develop certain level of empathy with your customers. You this homework brings you closer to your ideal customers, and that makes your relationship building with your customers extremely long lasting as well as solid. It gives you a very solid foundation of building customer relationships. Ads can't do that. They can only help you get more traction to an offer that you are pitching to the customers, right? And if you are an up and coming startup, this is extremely important, because this exercise gives you many opportunities for you to not only discover your product market fit, if you have not already identified it. It actually helps you to quickly readjust your priorities, or pivot to a segment, pivot to a niche that makes sense to you as well as your customers, right? And obviously the highlight of the organic content marketing is that it's free. It's, you don't have to invest anything other than your time, effort, and a lot of plan that needs your homework. So having said that, let's address some of the key points of the topic today: how to convert with organic content. I have some 5 points that I'm going to talk in detail, some of which I have applied and learned during my association with a brand when I was a full-time employee with certain brands. Some of these I have learned by watching other brands do it from a distance, and I'll call those examples out while I'm talking about them in a certain section. So, number one point about how you can convert with organic content is it's about finding anywhere between 1 to 3 channels of engagement where you can find your customers and engage with them. So number one point is finding anywhere between 1 to 3 channels of engagement with your customers. So this is a fundamental mistake that a lot of businesses I see are doing wrong, right? They try to be everywhere and they are trying to sell everyone, and that's a wrong strategy in my opinion. And our podcast, the avian conversation podcast, is actually this was started with with the mindset of fighting this marketing myth that you have to sell to everyone, you have to spray and pray and all that. I think it's a bad strategy because um, you just need certain limited number of customers in order to be sustainable and successful in your business. And in order to do this, what you have to do is you have to find where your customers hang out in the online world, and you have to go and find those platforms anywhere from 1 to 3 and then build or amplify your existing brand presence. You don't need to go everywhere. There are a lot of small businesses that have built their entire business foundation by being in just by being present and by being very high touch on 1 to 3 platforms. For example, I'm not sure if you have come across these posts from the founder of DuckDuckGo, which is a rival to Google. He is all over Quora. He doesn't post anywhere else in the online world. He just sticks to Quora, and he has built a lot of trust and a lot of branding around DuckDuckGo, all by being consistent and regular in posting questions as well as answers on Quora. And there are a lot of other businesses that have done it. I have seen a lot of e-commerce businesses, a lot of drop shippers who rely solely on Instagram as a channel of engagement with their customers. And that is nothing but extrapolating the principles of content marketing in these channels, right? These people, these drop shippers, these small mom and pop e-commerce stores, they don't even have their own website a lot of times. All they have is their storefronts, and then they have offers that they can give to their customers on the online world, and then they are present all over Instagram or Facebook, right? Because e-commerce is highly a B2C world, largely a B2C world. So Facebook and Instagram makes a lot of sense to them. But for example, if you are in the business of selling office equipments to businesses, that makes you a B2B domain, that makes you a business in the B2B domain, right? Then I think it makes sense for you to hang out in LinkedIn or build your brand presence there instead of trying to hit Facebook or Instagram or TikTok for that matter, right? So that is one thing. And there is no one size fits all template. So you have to figure out what works for you. You can't just look at other brands on what they are doing and copy them, because your customer profile, your customers' aspiration differ from other brands. So you have to find what works for you and then go behind that strategy. Number two, you have to shore up your growth efforts. What does that mean? By that, I mean that you have to start thinking laterally in terms of not keeping your marketing only with the marketing department. Content marketing is a distribution channel for your brand, right? It's not necessarily that only the marketers should use content to amplify your brand engagement or brand conversion or brand retention, right? For example, you can encourage people from other functions of your business, like sales, to go out and engage with customers using the assets that marketers have created in your brand. For example, leverage your employees' personal branding. What's stopping you from doing that, right? You can build internal influence by doing that, internal influences by doing that. You can make them the champions in the industry. They already operate in the niche that you exist. So all you have to do is you have to encourage them to position themselves as a subject matter expert in your niche, and then maybe you have to encourage them to write blogs under the name, or help them write blogs under the names, appear on podcasts, or do webinars that are of relevance to your audience. And these things don't require money at all. I'm sure you guys are aware of it, but these don't require money. These just needs planning, good planning. For example, when you position your salespeople as subject matter experts on your domain on LinkedIn, you can run inbound and highly targeted account level campaigns without spending anything, absolutely nothing. And I've seen it happen a lot of time. And I've actually written a blog about LinkedIn for growth that is a guest post that exists somewhere in the internet. I can maybe share the link in the chat towards the end of this session. But this strategy definitely needs some level of insights and help from marketing, and it needs a lot of homework, like researching your customer persona, your brand positioning, and what's your pitch or offer going to be when you are going to have these employees from your brand reach out to customers. For example, I'm sure you guys have come across these people who are not necessarily marketers on LinkedIn, who are giving away free content on LinkedIn to people who comment with certain things. For example, they say, I'm giving this ebook away if you comment, I'm interested, yes, in the comments below, right? That is nothing but a spin off of the traditional content marketing applied to a platform like LinkedIn. So, number one, find your channel of engagement and then build uh, a presence there, not only by uh, you know frontlining your marketers, but other internal influencers, other subject matter experts, and then encourage them to engage with your customers. You And then what happens by virtue of doing this exercise is, for example, if your salespeople, once they build a certain level of organic engagement, certain level of organic brand presence in your channel of choice, they can engage with them and take the conversation forward, right? They can they can offer high touch conversations to prospects, such as giving them personalized demos, or appearing for in-person meetup, or scheduling phone calls, or exchanging emails, and so on. I mean, the opportunities are vast. You just have to find your channel fit, and then make sure you have influencers who can represent your brand there, and then reach out to customers. By the way, a lot of businesses, what I have seen is, they are a little skeptic of investing or encouraging their employees to build their personal branding on social media, because they think that it takes away the limelight from away from the brand, which is simply not true. I think it's actually just the opposite. You actually, successful employees actually represent your business in a very positive light. Their success is your brand success. So they personify your brand in a very positive light. So that's just an insecure thinking, in my understanding, that needs to go out. We don't have room for that. And coming back to an example that I've seen personally a lot of times in is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is actually amazing for organic level content marketing, organic level marketing. Obviously, it has paid options of doing highly targeted marketing, which is costly, as well as not for everyone, especially not for businesses from the e-commerce background, because e-commerce is highly B2C and the audience doesn't live in LinkedIn. But just to talk about the principles that we are addressing here, LinkedIn is actually great for doing organic level marketing. We don't have to spend money. All you need is time, plan, and a genuine interest to help your customers or reach out to the customers, because it's a very highly targeted community. Number 3 point is, you have to build content assets that are actually multi-purpose. Building a content assets that's like a Swiss knife, right? It only doesn't do one thing, but it can help you a lot of things. For example, let's go back to our earlier discussion of where I said one of the basic advantages, or one of the greatest advantages of content marketing is, it helps you check all the boxes in your marketing funnel. Not only awareness, but also uh, engagement and conversions and retention, right? So definitely you can do conversions with content marketing. All you need to do is, you have to start creating content that helps you check all these boxes, right? You have to create pillar posts that answers the most common questions that people in your niche are looking for, right? You can use that content as a branding exercise for your business, and also as a conversion ready touch point that people can use to interact with your business for sales, for buying your product, right? um, just step back and think about it, right? A lot of times, splitting marketing into different segments like awareness and then engagement and retention and conversion doesn't make sense. It's actually unnecessarily prolonging the marketing or sales cycle, right? And I think you can do that by consolidating all these efforts into one, kick-ass piece of content. And once you do that, there's a lot of advantage in doing that. And if you're wondering how to do that, like I said, you just have to curate a list of most common questions that people ask in your niche, and create an evergreen content piece that can live for the longest time possible and attract people as new customer acquisitions, as well as help people convert from the same piece of content, right? And I have an example for you, which also comes interestingly from the e-commerce background. One of my favorite brands in the e-commerce industry is a company called Overload. I don't think it's very different from DCKAP, but they specify they specialize on the drop shipping segment of e-commerce, and Overload does wonderful marketing. They actually do the exact same thing that I explained earlier. They take all the most common questions that beginner dropshippers, newbie dropshippers are thinking, if they are on the fence about starting dropshipping, how to do it, how much to spend, which are the e-commerce platform that I should start with, and how to manage the inventory. I mean, dropshipping, you don't even need inventory, right? So that's what overload.com tries to do. But they try to address all these questions for a beginner level dropshipper, and then they smartly plug in their product in these content assets that they are publishing to help these new dropshippers, right? So I think that's a very smart way of doing it. And I think webinars also offer this kind of opportunity where you can talk about the common problems that people in your niche are facing, and then solve their customer problems in a very genuine way, and then find a scope, a natural scope to plug in your product. I think this is also a great way to do organic content marketing without spending a penny. I mean, it's doing the same thing that you're doing, but with a different perspective, right? And number 4 point that I'm going to talk about is not very different from what I just said, but I'm going to give you an example of what I mean to elaborate on this. Number 4 point is you have to optimize your marketing assets for conversions, right? Now, what do I mean by that? Take a step back and look at ads and content marketing. Look at them and compare. What do you see? I mean, businesses have 3 pillars of growth, like I discussed earlier, right? It's product, distribution, and then retention, right? Now, ads and content marketing and all the other marketing activities that you do fall under the second bucket of distribution. So, ads and content marketing or organic marketing activities are actually vying for the same goal. They actually are coexisting for doing or achieving the same goal. They are not in competition. They are not either or choices. They actually are trying to solve the same problem. So I'm setting this context to say that if you can borrow certain principles of paid ads to your content marketing activities or organic marketing activities, I think you can make your content conversion ready touch points for your brand, right? And what do I mean by that? Same thing. You have to make your content marketing hit all the boxes in the marketing funnel: awareness, engagement, conversions, and all that. And then have the elements of ad, for example, backlinking to your homepage, or adding a email opt-in or opt-in page to your content. I think these are simple recalibrations or simple perspective change that you can do to not only your existing marketing content, but all the marketing content assets that you are going to add to your website in the future. And then bingo, you're ready to convert people with the content, organic content, without spending any extra money on it. And you just have to ask the following questions. For example, can you add opt-in forms to your existing and future content ideas? Can you drive more traffic to your homepage by backlinking to your homepage through this content, right? That's another way to make your content optimized for conversions. And investing, instead of investing your efforts on creating a lead magnet, for example, I mean, everybody does lead magnet without actually trying, without consciously thinking what it actually is trying to do, right? So I'm suggesting, instead of investing your effort on creating a lead magnet that you are positioning in the market to that you can that you are posting in the market to convert people, you can shorten that cycle by trying to do the same thing in your content marketing, right? No need to necessarily prolong that process by creating lead magnet and then making people opt in and then starting a nurturing campaign. There you can do the same thing in the organic content marketing assets that you already have or that you're planning in the next month or quarter or whatever, right? And I have an example, very interesting example to shed light on this. Again, this example, I'm trying to keep all my examples aligned to the e-commerce industry because DCKAP represents e-commerce, right? And there's this very interesting website called sanacommerce.com. I'll drop the link in the chat below towards the end of the session, but it's called sana-commerce.com. And what Sana Commerce is trying to do is they have an interactive ROI calculator in their website that helps new e-commerce businesses or people who are considering investing or building their e-commerce platforms online to calculate um, your projected e-commerce revenue and cost savings for free. The ROI calculator is actually free. It doesn't cost you money because it's a proxy for content marketing. It's free. It's value driven. It gives you something to learn, and then it actually markets the brand, because at the end of the calculation they plug the product very nicely, right? Because they're positioning themselves as the expert by doing this exercise. People are more inclined to get in touch with this brand instead of going to other brands, instead of looking for other brands to start their e-commerce platform. So you can actually use Sana Commerce ROI calculator to build an e-commerce business case, right? It gives you the confidence to go ahead and start your e-commerce platform. So Uber Suggest is another example that comes to mind. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of it, but as a marketer, that's one of my go-to platforms in the online world when I have to look for free keyword insights. And Uber Suggest is actually a keyword research platform developed by Neil Patel. I'm sure everybody is aware of Neil Patel, right? And yeah, it's Neil Patel's baby, right, sir? So they actually give you the keyword insights for free, and they smartly position their product as something that is going to be useful for you in your marketing journey forward, right? So it's virtue signaling in a good way, right? And I think that's a very smart way of doing it. And Ahrefs is another brilliant example. Ahrefs, if you look at all the blog assets, it's actually not segmented into building awareness or segmented into building engagement with their current customers or doing retention. It actually checks all the boxes, and in all the content they actually plug their product very smartly in a very genuine way. They don't try to be salesy, they don't try to be pushy, and that's why their blogs have some of the highest traffics across all the SEO software industry, and they do it very brilliantly. They do it in a very subtle way, which is a mark of a great marketing mind, is what I think. Now, number 5 point. This is something I have seen from a close distance, and I think this is extremely valuable. But before going into the point, one of the basic tenets of copywriting or content marketing, organic content marketing, is what is an irresistible offer that you can give in your copy, right? I mean, just having a magical combination of words is not going to get you anywhere. You actually have to come up with a very tangible offer in order for your copy to be effective to your audience, right? So if you can combine that idea with this idea that I'm going to say, which is number 5 point, is you can cash on a co-marketing opportunity. For example, if you are a brand in the e-commerce industry that sells merchandising software, and you want to amplify your organic content marketing efforts because you don't have ad budget, then you can identify other players, lookalike brands in your domain who serve the same customers but selling the different products. So they're not necessarily taking away anything from you, and you're not taking away anything from them. So these are non-competitive brands under the same niche. You can partner together because the audience overlaps, right? So if you are in the merchandising software business, you can identify a brand that can help you label products and offer badges or stickers on the products, like new, hot, trending, sold out, or selling fast, something like that, right? So if you are in the merchandising software business and you can identify another non-competitive player in the same niche, you can actually come together to co-market with each other. And by the way, you need to have an offer in order to co-market, because otherwise it becomes unnecessarily cross-marketing without any tangible output, right? So if you have an irresistible offer that you can give to your audience, and you have exhausted all your marketing channels, then you can identify these players. You can go into a contract with them to say, hey, we will sell your products to our audience, existing audience. Maybe we'll cross promote your product, but can you do the same thing for us, right? And this doesn't require any marketing spend again, right? This is something you already are doing. You just need good copywriting, content marketing, organic content building to do this, and you're all set. I think this is also a very effective idea that I have actually seen a lot of brands do and succeed at. Now, these are definitely first principles. These are definitely some of the very good ideas that I've seen happening, but I'm sure there are tons of other ideas that are equally actionable, specific, as well as valuable. Because I'm not saying these are the must-dos. I'm sure there might be a few flaws in the ideas that I presented, but my request to you is be open-minded. Don't just bank on these ideas. Maybe come up with your own ideas. Maybe try to identify if there are other ideas more exciting and more actionable than these, and try to come up with these ideas and try to implement these ideas in your own organic marketing activities to see where they take you, right? You just need to shift your focus from seeing advertising and organic content marketing as mutually exclusive assets. They are not. They are not mutually exclusive. They actually coexist, and they help you reach the same goal by being under the same bucket of marketing and distribution. And so take a step back, recalibrate your content marketing to incorporate some of the qualities that advertising or paid ads have to offer, and make your content marketing conversion ready. So those were the 5 points that I had to offer from my personal experience on how to use organic content marketing to convert people into customers. Srija?
Yeah, I'm here.
Maybe we can get into Q&A, and if
Yeah.
somebody, yeah.
Guys, like if you have any questions regarding to this session, probably you can use the Q&A in your bottom panel of your Zoom.
And if you have any questions regarding anything that I mentioned earlier, also do that, and I'll be more than happy to address those points also. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the link of the AVM Conversation podcast where we have talked about this topic in a little more detail, so that if you have time, you can go listen to it. And obviously, there are other episodes that I think are of great interest to like-minded marketers. And I'm also going to cut and paste the link of the blog where I have written at length about how you can use LinkedIn both for your paid marketing efforts as well as for organic marketing advantages. So Jovin Leo Y is asking how guest blogging will help for long run in terms of content marketing. How guest blogging will help for long run in terms of content marketing for B2B business. I think it's a kick-ass. Again, I think it falls into the category of co-marketing, where you can partner with another like-minded lookalike brand and amplify your brand presence. You can. Uh, I'm a big fan of guest blogging, so I do it on a regular basis. Like I said, the LinkedIn blog, the LinkedIn for Growth blog that I talked to you about is also actually a guest blog on one of the marketer site, and it it helps you immensely. I think especially for B2B businesses, it not only is an opportunity for you to get backlinks, which is helpful in SEO, and SEO is very important for all business, and especially for e-commerce industry, businesses in the e-commerce industry. So it definitely is a ranking signal for your own website if you can get a backlink out of it, and also for you to position your brand and your products in as experts and as valuable solution to the problem that your customers are trying to solve.
And we have questions populated in the Q&A section, Manish.
Sure. I'm going through it. So Nishata, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but Nisata Abraham is asking, it's difficult to measure the impact of content marketing. Do you have any basic format to justify portray that your content marketing efforts are working? Yes, obviously there are a lot of metrics that you can measure. Again, it depends from brand to brand, because all the brands that I've worked for in the past, I think they look at it, most of the brands that I've worked in the past, they look at it from a wrong lens in terms of, looking at website traffic, in terms of page views, in terms of time on page, and social likes and share, which I think are great. It helps you understand how well a content asset is performing, but I don't think that's an indicator of success, right? I don't think that is an indication of how successful your content is. I think the indication of success is measured by metrics like how many people converted from that piece of content, or how many people signed up for a free trial through that content. I mean, it is attributable, but it's slightly difficult, because the existing traditional form of content marketing is you have several content pieces from the awareness level to the conversion level, and maybe it goes spills over to the retention level, right? So when you have UTM tags scattered across all these content assets, which are segmented into different buckets, it makes your attribution very difficult to measure how your content is impacting your lead conversion. That's what I meant to say. But again, if you go back to one of the points that I gave, I think if you can consolidate all these marketing goals, awareness, engagement, and retention and conversion into one piece of content, I think the attribution also becomes easier, because now you can understand if you have an opt-in page in the same content piece. Now you can understand that the people came through this opt-in form to your homepage or to your free trial, right? Similarly, if you backlink to your homepage from a certain piece of content, it's much easier to see where the traffic came from. And Kirtan says, how to identify the right channel when you are just starting out and do not have any customers? Great question. And I think I did address this, but for the sake of clarity, I think it deserves second addressing, which is there's no set template for any brand to go behind, right? Every brand's use case, every brand's customers are different. I mean, obviously they can have overlaps with other brands in the same industry. You can definitely borrow principles, but you have to test, you have to do A/B testing. Maybe you have to test out which channel gets you traction and eliminate the ones that don't get you any traction, and then that's how you you identify the channels of engagement that works for you. I mean, it's all a matter of testing, and it's a process of elimination that actually helps a lot of marketers decide on what actually is working and what actually is not. Join again says, can you suggest any content marketing tools or backlinking tools like Harrow? Harrow is definitely great. I don't think there's a backlinking tool that can solve our backlinking problems. I mean, it would have been great if we could have that, but I think Ahrefs was Ahrefs is a great tool. I'm sure SEM Rush and Moz are also great tools. BuzzSumo is a very underlooked, overlooked tool. I think it can help you get not only backlinks but also identify influencers in your niche that you can reach out to for interviewing, as well as for giving shout outs, for embedding the tweets so that you can bank on their followers. So BuzzSumo is actually a great tool, but my favorite is Ahrefs because it not only gives you insights on how many backlinks your competitors' pages have, but also gives you an idea of what you can incorporate in your content so that backlinking to your content becomes easier. And Kesavaram says, can you suggest any specific organic marketing strategies that suits B2B industry, particularly to reach decision makers in a company via mailers? It needs a little bit of deep elaboration. So sorry, Kesavam, but I am going to skip this because I think we did address specific organic marketing strategies for B2B marketing in this session. So I think if you go back and listen to the recording, you might get answers to your question, but it needs a little more discussion. And by the way, I'm happy to connect with everyone on a one-to-one basis after this session is over and take the conversation forward. I am very active on LinkedIn, so you can reach me out on LinkedIn. And I'm also going to drop my email address in the chat after I'm done with the Q&A so that you can reach me out for any queries you might have or any clarifications you want from me. Akash says, the session was great. Thank you so much. Thank you for the ideas and insights. Would be helpful if you can drop in the links of the sites that you have mentioned during the session. Can you please? Yes, I've actually done that already with two of the links. I'll put my email address as well. LinkedIn paid marketing is a way to higher budget, even for A/B testing. What is your point on that? Yes, absolutely. I think I did say that LinkedIn cost you a bomb. It's not for everyone, definitely not for a lot of people in the commerce industry, e-commerce industry, because it costs you a bomb for A/B testing, and it helps you target very specifically, which is the best highlight of LinkedIn. But it's tough. Yes, agreed. They are more like 90 metrics. Agreed. Thank you. What are your thoughts? Okay, Karthik says, what are your thoughts on delivering and driving content for a brand that has very limited content? Content marketing is a marathon than a sprint. Do you recommend on building assets on different topics first and then distribute? However, the results would take time when the world looks at instant gratification, then also need to decide on gating and non-gating. In these crunch times, where revenue generation is priority, what do you recommend as best practices for driving reach and generating quality leads? Sure. This was one of the ideas that I deliberately didn't put in the presentation today because that would have taken the discussion in a slightly different direction, but I've addressed this point in other speaker series that I've attended, and which is, like I said, marketing is something that should not necessarily be limited to the marketing department. I think you can help empower people from other departments in your brand, like sales. Sales is, they are cousins and brothers of marketers. So you can actually position them to do a lot of things that you are trying to do from a marketer standpoint. For example, one of the best hacks, and I call it hacks because it's a casual word thrown around these days, but one of the hacks that I apply to my content marketing process is, when I don't have answers to a topic that I am supposed to write, I don't write it. I just don't have enough insights, and sometimes I don't even have enough data to research on. So what I do, I will go to the subject matter experts either from within the brand that I'm working in, or I go find the subject matter experts from the internet, and I try to interview them on the topic, and I try to record what they have to say so that I can transcribe that into a blog. I mean, that's a specialty that I as a content marketer has. So I can take any raw form of data, I can analyze that and make it into a nice storytelling, and then present it to the world, right? I can boil it down, tone it down to a level where other people can understand it. So this is actually a great idea, and I think it answers your question very well. If you don't have enough bandwidth in your content team, in a marketing team, to produce a ton of content, and content is marketing is not a volume game, right? That's what a lot of businesses do the mistake of understanding. But it's not a volume game, it's an impact game. You have to make more impact by doing less. And in order to do that, what you can do is, instead of spending a lot of time and effort and money, you can actually find efficient ways of doing it. Go interview other subject matter experts in your industry who can answer the questions, the most common questions your customers are asking in your niche, and then transcribe it into either webinar. I mean, you can repurpose it any way you want. You can create an infographic for it. You can write a blog. Obviously, that's the best and most common thing to do. Or you can create a tweet storm around it, or you can do social media posts around it. So bandwidth shouldn't be a problem. The problem actually lies in our mindset. If you shift your mindset, I think there are a lot of innovative, creative ideas that are hidden in plain sight that you can bank on. I hope I was helpful in answering that, Karthik. Anonymous. With diminishing attention spans and everybody running around, what other mediums of content marketing are gaining traction? Example, video, podcast, etc. I, being a podcaster myself, I definitely think podcasting is the next content marketing. Video, again, we have covered an episode in the Even Conversation podcast where we say video marketing is great, and we have interviewed experts on it also. And I definitely think it requires a little bit of learning. It has a little bit of learning curve, because not everybody is cut out for being a podcaster or a video marketer. But having said that, all the trends in the marketing right now points towards that direction. I think you've answered your question yourself. Video and podcast are definitely the trend to look forward to, and a skill that every marketer should gain. Infographics are dead. Email is going to live a long life, and videos, podcasts can be embedded into these traditional forms of content marketing, and to amplify your brand messaging as you're positioning. I will give you a very nice anecdote that me and my podcast co-host ran as a campaign within the last month, and it was a decent success. I think it was worth doing, which is because we saw this initial resistance in a lot of marketers around us who were not willing to appear in front of videos, at least in public. We thought of doing a challenge. We called it hashtag 30 seconds video challenge. And we encourage people to say, hey, record a 30 seconds video on LinkedIn, because that's where we hang out most of the times. So we said, record a 30-second video challenge saying your name, what you do, and what is the weird thing that you find about marketing, the domain that you operate in. And at least 40 people participated, which was unexpected. We didn't expect it to get that much traction. But that was also a very insightful exercise, not only for me and my co-host of the podcast, but also for marketers who came forward to say thank you to us, in order to say that, hey, I was never comfortable appearing in front of videos and doing it in public, but because of this exercise, I think I'm going to do it more regularly, because video is something that SEO also favors. It's genuine, you can't fake it. It's definitely tough, so not everybody is doing it, which means that it also offers a competitive advantage. So video checks a lot of boxes, just like other formats. And podcast definitely is something that I think is going to replace a lot of traditional content marketing format that we are seeing. Do we have more questions, Srija?
We are done, Manish. Like, I hope like we are done with all the questions, and that people are requesting you to type the sites like you said for reference. So it'd be great like if you do that in the chat section for the
Sure.
group.
I have my email typed. It says I'm typing it only to panelists. Is everybody able to see that? I'm not sure.
I'll do that for you.
Okay. So I have typed. I have typed the link of the ABM Conversation podcast where we discuss a similar topic at length. And it's not only my perspective, so you have a more qualified person also talking about it. And I have pasted the link of the guest post where I talk about LinkedIn for growth, not only from the perspective of paid ads, but also organic.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Manish, for the great session. So I believe like it's been a great treat for the marketers like who are pitching into that business and for the budding marketers who are working for the B2B businesses. So we had a great session hosting you, and probably like people who have queries probably can reach him Manish through LinkedIn, and also like I have posted his email ID in the chat section. And thank you so much, Manish, for spending your valuable time for this webinar. And it was really insightful. Thank you, Manish. And thank you, everyone, for spending your Friday evening for listening to our webinar. So we will come up with a awesome speaker with an insightful session by the coming Friday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the session. I'm really grateful you all attended and you guys made my evening very wonderful. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Take care.
Thank you.